Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, and we're going to be doing trigonometry. So let's start out with trigonometric basics. Okay, first note, we need a calculator is a must. So we need a calculator. We're gonna use a calculator. You're gonna do trigonometry without a calculator. Okay, now I'm using FX 991 ES Plus, which is from Casio, and we're gonna do right angle triangles. So we're gonna start out with Pythagoras theorem, which states that a squared plus b squared equals h squared. Now what's that? We're gonna be dealing with right angle triangles. Triangle, which is three sides, angle, which have right angle triangles. So triangle is a three-sided shape, and a right angle which has a 90-degree angle in it. So where's the 90-degree angle? That's the 90-degree angle. So if you get two sides, we can find out the third side, and what we mean by that is the length of the side. Okay, then we're gonna be doing some trigonometric ratios. So what's our trigonometric ratios? Trigonometric ratios are sine, cosine, and tan. Now we use trigonometric ratios to find angles. So if we're gonna find this angle theta, so what we're gonna do is find out which of these ratios we're going to use. How are we gonna find out? Any two values. We need any two values. If you have hypotenuse and opposite, you're gonna use sine. If you have hypotenuse and adjacent, you're gonna use cosine. If you have adjacent and opposite, you're gonna use tan. How to use that? Okay, let's go. So in theta, the opposite to it is called the opposite side. Okay, that's the angle we want to find, so that's called the opposite side. And then the hypotenuse is the one that is sloped. Okay, now sometimes theta is also called the gradient, so just take that in mind. Okay, and the side that's between the theta and the 90 degrees is called adjacent. Now let's do an example on Pythagoras, and we're going to work our way to trigonometric ratios. Okay, so before we go on, there's an easy way to memorize these ratios, which is SOHCAHTOA, and I'm emphasizing learning it this way so it's easier. So the first thing you're gonna do when solving a problem in trigonometric ratios, which is write SOHCAHTOA and find which of the two sides you have, and then gonna go on and find the angle with them. So for example, which is sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, so that's sine equals opposite, which is O, over hypotenuse, which is h. So we're taking just the first letter of every word. Okay, let's go on. So an example on Pythagoras. Now we're gonna this right angle triangle, and we're gonna A with 3, C equals 5, and B is unknown, but we know that this is a right angle triangle. So let's write down our formula, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now we're gonna substitute. We know that a is 3 and b is 5 and c is 5 and b is unknown. It's easy to find b now. Okay, b is equal to 4. I know we're gonna use a calculator in this one, and Pythagoras is just straightforward. There's no ideas in it, nothing, but we're gonna use the calculator in this next example, which is on trigonometric ratios. Okay, now first of all, let's write our SOHCAHTOA. We don't know which angle we're going to find, but let's choose this angle. Okay, down over here. Now in this angle, we're gonna first we pointed out the angle. Now we're gonna point out the names of the sides. So we're gonna opposite, we're gonna hypotenuse, and we get the adjacent. Okay, so let's state down what two values we have. So we have opposite and we have hypotenuse. Now let's write down which of which part of the sentence we're going to use. So we're going to use so. Now let's open the so it's called sine angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, now the answer is 36.8. Now we're gonna work our way steps down here. Okay, in the right side, down to the answer. How? Let's find out. Okay, So angle, opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Okay, now sine angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now angle equals arc sine, and bracket opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so what is arc sine? So arc sine is inverse of sine to find angle. So if you're gonna shift the sine from the left side to the right side, or from one side to another side on the equal sign, now it's gonna be called arc sine. There's another two names for that, which is important to know them, which is sine inverse, or sine to the power of -1. And in the calculator you're gonna see sine to the power of -1, which is more common to be used, okay, than arc sine. But arc sine is also right. Okay, now let's substitute. Now how to use that in the calculator? So you're gonna go shift sine, and then you're gonna substitute the value 3/5. Now it should look something like that, and then hit equal. Is gonna give you 36.8, which is this value over here, and that's how you do it. Now let's solve the same example using cosine. Okay, so the same example, same answer. Let's go work our steps towards the answer. Okay, so first we're gonna angle, then we have the opposite, then we have the hypotenuse, then we have the adjacent, and this time the adjacent equals to 4 that we have calculated in our first example using the Pythagoras theorem. Okay, now cosine angle equals adjacent over the hypotenuse. So now we have the adjacent, now we have the hypotenuse. Let's write our formula. Angle equals arc cosine adjacent over the hypotenuse. Now cosine is also arc cosine, or cosine inverse, or cosine to the power of -1. Now let's substitute our values. Now to write it on the calculator, hit shift cosine 4/5, and it should look something like that. Now I'm gonna give you the same answer because it's all ratios that gives you the same angle. It depends on what two values you have to use with what ratio. Okay, now another example on in tan. Now I have given you the answer directly because these examples are right forward. You're gonna use the calculator and hit shift tan, and you're gonna use the values directly and write the answer directly. There is no steps involved in it, just 2 steps or 3, depends on what you want to write down. But we're gonna go over the steps again. So you're gonna angle, opposite, hypotenuse, and you get the adjacent, which is equal to 4. Now tan angle equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, now angle equals arc tan opposite over the adjacent. Okay, now the angle equals arc tan, and we're gonna substitute 3/4. Now let's write it down in the calculator so it looks something like that. Okay, so shift tan, and then we're gonna substitute 3/4. So tan inverse, or tan to the power of -1, bracket equals 3/4, and then I'll give you the same answer. And thank you.